We'll play the note C, which is in the 5th fret on the G string with your first finger. And hear the sound of the note just plain. And now we're going to pull. I'm going to shake the string a little bit, pulling in a downward motion. Shaking your wrist a little bit, like that. To give that note just a little bit of extra feel and sound. You can also do it by bending up a little bit. But notice that my thumb is wrapping around just a little bit to give a little bit of extra anchor. Okay? We'll try the same technique on the same string in the 7th fret with your 3rd finger. So practice that on each note of the scale with each consecutive finger. Often there'll be vibrato put at the end of a phrase, at the end of a few notes that you play. Okay. You may have also noticed some bending that I was doing. It's basically 2 different styles of bends we'll talk about today. And the first one being a half-step bend. When I talk about half-step and whole step, that means I'm bending up a half-step, 1 fret. Okay, so let's try that. On the G string in 7th fret with your 3rd finger, pushing up slightly so it matches the note that if you would fret a half step higher, it matches that note. And also in bending, it helps to keep the other fingers that are behind the finger to also help bend it up instead of just trying to bend it with just the 1 finger. Gives you a little bit more strength. That's a half step bend. I'm bending up, then bending back down, and then playing the note below it, and then the note A. Okay, now we're going to try a whole step bend, which means literally that you're bending up a whole step, which is 2 frets. A little harder to stretch that string up that far. Also experiment with staying at the height of the bent note. This particular whole step bend, you can check the tuning of it by fingering the note E, which is in the 5th fret of the on the B string. And also bend this note from the 8th fret of the B string up a whole step. Adding a little vibrato at the top of the bend. So experiment around with these new techniques. It takes a little while to get them under your fingers, but it'll add a lot more expression and personality to your playing. Next up, we're going to learn one more position of the power chord. Before, we were playing power chords that were named by the note on the E string. Now we're going to play some with the low note on the A string. Again, it's going to be the same fingering, and the lowest note in the chord will name it. So refer again to the graph, if you need to, of the guitar neck that names each note. We're going to start with an E power chord, sometimes called E5. It'll be the same fingering as the other bar chords. So to play an E bar chord, starting on the A string, you'll be in the 7th fret with the first finger, in the 9th fret with the 3rd finger on the D string, and on the G string, the 4th finger will go in the 9th fret. You just play those 3 strings. So thusly, if that's E, moving it down to the note D, it's a D power chord. So we're going to play a chord progression that's going to involve the E and D power chord that are named on the A string, and then the G and the A that are starting with the low note on the E string. just chugging along while I'm playing this. Next up, we're going to learn the E blues scale, which looks very similar to the A minor pentatonic shape that we already went over. And it's going to be in the key of E, so we're just basically going to move that whole shape up to E. The low note E will name the scale. And it's basically adding one note to the minor pentatonic to make it the blues scale. So before we had... that would be E minor pentatonic. Now we're going to add one note. Instead of just playing two notes on the A string, we're going to add the second finger on the 13th fret in this case. And this will be the same. And then on the G string, after we fret in the 14th fret, we're going to add the 15th fret with the fourth finger. Then the top two notes are the same. So play together one time real slow. 3, 4, and... That's called the E blues scale. For the next play-along, we're going to experiment playing the E blues scale over the previous play-along chord progression. So you hear how the E blues scale fits over the E, the D, the G, and the A power chords. So at the beginning of the play-along, I'll play the scale real slowly up and down with you a couple of times. Then I'm going to give you a lot of space to experiment around with the blues scale and try to incorporate some of the bending ideas that we did in the other key. Adding vibrato. Okay, so here we go.